let's talk about how you get good at delivery. The reality is there's no shortcut to the top, but you have many, 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 many times in which you can practice delivery. Essentially, anytime you talk is an opportunity to practice. Now, when it comes to the webinar, here's a dirty little secret. The first time I do any webinar, I barely can recall what's even on the next slide. Oftentimes, I will forget where I'm going in the presentation. I'm only aware of what's in front of me right now, the slide that's on there. I'll have totally not even remembered whole parts or steps that I'm leading towards because I'm not familiar with the content yet. The first time or two or three or four or five or six or seven or eight times you do a webinar, you are going to be more focused on the content than you are on the delivery. And there's two benefits to that. One is you're getting familiar with the content, which will naturally allow you to know when to emphasize this or when to drag this out a little bit to create tension and drama. And also at the same time, you're feeling out what lands and what doesn't land. There's many times I thought that, yes, saying it this way with this buildup is going to be the best way to make that point land. And then after doing it 2 or 3 or 4 webinars, I realized, no, it isn't. It doesn't go like I thought it would in my mind. And then I tweak it. And then I come back and deliver it again. And I say, ooh, this feels a lot better. Now, what's funny about this is it literally might have the same exact effect on the audience. Let's say we could somehow weight persuasional content. So we could say those 6 slides delivered in the first way have an objective persuasion weight of 67%, right? And then if you change them, those 6 slides, so it just felt smoother when you were reading it, and then you ran it through your objective persuasion counter, and it was still 67%, great. You should go with the second one. Because if you feel better delivering it, if it's smoother and easier for you delivering, all things being equal, the totality of that comfort is going to increase your sales overall. I don't know, that's kind of an awkward explanation. Hopefully that makes sense. But when you're first starting the webinar, your delivery is not going to be anywhere near as good as what it will mature to, no matter who you are and no matter what you're doing. So the first part of when you're doing a webinar, it's okay to be just lukewarm or mediocre with the delivery because you're just taking the content out for the spin. You're getting familiar with the content. You're auditioning content, and then you're thinking about it and turning it around and playing with it, okay? And then over time, what will happen is as you get more familiar with the content becomes less of a conscious process. And that's when you can focus the consciousness on the delivery of the content. And that's when you really start to get good. Eventually, both the content and the delivery will shift from conscious to subconscious. And then that's when you become unstoppable. And that's the real powerful thing about delivery is knowing that you're going to have to run it up. The first couple times I do a new webinar, I'm so focused on the content and less focused on the delivery that I adhere more to the bullet points. And I read almost all of them or a majority of them exactly as they are. And I don't provide a lot of color, or I don't go off the bullet points and add in additional commentary too often. But as I get more familiar, I then focus more on the delivery and adding in that color. And, trying to say things differently on the fly just to see how they land. And then over time, those two things get really good. They both improve. The content improves and the delivery improves. And the better the delivery, the better the content seems to improve. And the better the content, the better the delivery improves. But so many people want to get it right before they ever take it out for a spin, and that's just simply impossible. You can't do it. It just doesn't work that way. All right? Now you say, well, hold on a second, Jason. What about evergreen webinars? Well, that's a different story because you're in a laboratory. If you want to record this without being in public, you have an infinite amount of takes in which you can do something. So you could sit down, shoot the whole thing, then come back, listen to it, find the weak points of your delivery, reshoot them, go listen to it again, find the weak points now of your delivery, reshoot those, and you can do it that way. Most of you will meet with failure if you try that approach, by the way. You will, okay? Because first of all, you haven't really auditioned the content. Second of all, it takes 5 to 10 to 20 times as long for most people to do it without an audience in front of them because you don't have that energy to play off of. And you don't have that demand that you have to step it up because somebody might be disappointed if you don't perform, right? So most often, even with Automated webinars, we take it from a live cut. So we do it live, and then we go through the transcripts, and we find where we need to change delivery to make it automated and evergreenable. But we keep the power dynamic of it feeling and being live. So that's what great delivery looks like. That's how you get over time to great delivery.